I'm Amy Jo Martin. Welcome to the Why Not Now show.
Welcome to the Why Not Now show. Today and today only, hosted by yours truly, Sam Goodner, with special guest appearing on her own show, Amy Jo Martin. Amy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Oh, how the tables have turned. I'm not even used to sitting in this seat. I'm usually there. So,
how does it feel to be a guest on your own show?
I'm a little bit nervous about this one, but I feel pretty comfortable. I trust you.
All right, I think it's Friday afternoon. I think we should probably open a non-alcoholic beer to get our nerves calmed down.
Athletic Brewing.
Let's see if it's
new flavor. I love it. Lay back lime and salt.
Oh, that is pretty good, actually. Mm-hmm. Good choice.
Thanks, Belle.
All right, so I'm going to dive right in.
You just
cheers
first while we're still friends.
Cheers, Amy Jo.
Okay.
So before we dive into the mechanics of this whole new crazy endeavor that you've embarked on, first of all, what are we calling this experiment?
So we've had this discussion, right? And what we're about to explain is a pretty big personal and professional shift, you could say, but really it's an experiment or quest or whatever you want to call it. But the Renegade Reinvention Experiment.
The Reinvention Experiment. Mm-hmm. I like it. I like it. So before we dive into the mechanics, give me the why behind it. Like, how did you come here?
The why. This has been brewing for a few years now, and I think, like everything, things tend to take 3 times as long as you think they're going to, if not longer. But I kind of was set out on a quest a couple years ago to really start simplifying my life and look at my relationship with time and with wealth and reinvent kind of the way I did my schedule and optimized. And I did that and kind of hacked those things. But I think I was really looking for just more. Definitely I had been overprogrammed and done that to myself, but I was looking for more zest, like just that career aliveness that I know I'm capable of. And also at the same time, when COVID happened and then getting back out on the speaking circuit, there was this obvious shift in the eyes of the audiences across every industry, traveling globally. And I'd never seen this level of exhaustion in people's eyes and this burnout and boredom at the same time. And it was just kind of this cry for help, right? And I don't claim to have all the answers. I definitely am able to share and offer value that's been tested and tried, but there's a next level to this now, especially with AI, where I'm ready to take myself into kind of the Petri dish, and I talk about experimenting all the time anyway, and become the scientist in the subject matter versus the guru, and see what I can learn by doing some experimenting, some me search, as I call it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk a lot more about AI on the show, but you told me you had a moment on a plane that sort of acted as a catalyst for some of this. Like, walk us through this story.
Yeah, I think there's, we look at our evolution of identity and career and age, and a lot of people know my story of, out of the gate, the strong drive, and had some pretty big wins and strides, and also some great burnouts and crashes, I'd say, and learned from them. And I think I've been seeking something and haven't known what it was, and thinking maybe it's more time, maybe it's more simplicity, it's not overprogrammed anymore. But what was it? And it's really this desire to be student mode more.
Yeah.
And learning, and I love to be out ahead of things and be like, I'll be the guinea pig. Let me go first. I might get hurt, but I'm fairly fearless, and so I'll see what I learn. And I'll bring it back and do radical things, not just for the sake of doing it, but for the sake of contribution. And I hadn't felt that in a long time. So I'm on this flight a few weeks ago, and this idea had been brewing, and I just write this super prompt. I think I
for AI.
For AI.
Yeah.
ChatGPT. I've been using it for a few years now, personally, professionally, so it has a lot of data on me. And I think I emailed you right after I got the response. Because I'm like, hey, gonna do this, like 10 in quick start, let's go. And I just gave it every piece of data I possibly could. personal, professional, financial, business lines, how I'm feeling, all of the things. And I said, take this as well as everything you know about me that I've ever shared. And here are a couple of pathways I could go. I don't even know if those are viable, but what do you think? What do you advise? And don't give me any BS, because I don't want you to tell me what you think I might want to hear.
Yeah.
And be biased. And what I got back was pretty surprising, to be honest.
Wow. So, I mean, you've been an entrepreneur for 18 years, New York Times bestseller, public speaker, award-winning podcaster. Like, how does all of that play into this moment right now?
That's a great question. And I think that was data that it took into context, and it called me out and kind of called my own bullshit and said, hey, this thing that you're calling like career confusion, that's cute. What's really going on is you've been an entrepreneur for 18 years. You've been driving hard. You didn't ever take a maternity leave. You had NICU trauma for 3 months, touch and go, very, very intense. You were divorced a while back and went through that. And just, it's like your body is telling you, you better change the way you're operating and reinvent the way you look at some of these big pillars, because it's voting and it is the boss.
Yeah. So let's dive in. Like, define what this experiment is. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah. So I love metrics and data, and I love mixing it together and getting creative with it. And I have all my career, and I wanted to just, like, what if I started tracking everything? And when I say everything, qualitative, quantitative, really look at the protocol of a true science experiment, right? Have a hypothesis, have your control, have your variables that are fixed and not, and just start iterating and seeing what you can learn. And so we're tracking time, health, wealth, and I'm calling it passion. This bucket includes people, relationships, my own personal passions.
So these are your KPIs?
These are big pillars. And the KPIs will be, for example, you've seen the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
But everything from screen time to sleep, pulling in APIs from my Oura Ring, pulling an API from Google in my calendar, iPhone, Apple Watch. Some of those are very literal, and it's like, okay, that's just black and white data. But when we look at it in conjunction with qualitative, how am I feeling? I have a morning ritual that I'll be actually giving AI every single morning what I'm journaling. I always do 10 active gratitude touch points, my meditation. But I can't say that I'm taking it as seriously as I would if I were being accountable and like literally having to report it. And so I'm really curious if I know that someone and people are watching, meaning my personal board of directors.
Meaning the world?
And AI, and like this is a thing, then I'm probably going to step up to the plate even more. And it's not about being rigid and like just trying to control everything and try to do too much. It's more of, what can I learn?
So are you using AI as your research assistant?
Research assistant, guide, life coach, analyst, thought partner. It's really a human-machine collaboration.
Yeah. Now, some of these KPIs are very quantitative. Your sleep score, how many minutes you spent on your iPhone last week. And others obviously are much more qualitative. Like your joy, your peace, your love. I've seen the list. So how are you going to measure progress on the more subtle ones, the more qualitative ones? And does that even matter? Like what are you hoping to accomplish by measuring all this?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's, I am a case study of one. We have a sample size of one. However, it's looking at, what I'm curious about is how AI and my personal board of directors, which are people like Sam who have agreed to meet with me once a month and also review the report and the data on a regular basis, how we can see correlations. And in some cases, asking stakeholders in my life, does Amy Jo seem happier?
Yeah.
And just the honesty, I have no reason to not be completely transparent and honest with what I'm sharing from a journaling and just qualitative standpoint, because I want to get down to the answer. I'm not doing this for a stunt. I'm doing it because I want to kind of figure out what has this roadblock been for that next level of quality of life, and how do I get there?
So that's sort of what you're hoping to get out of it. What is your hope for people that are going to be watching in, like your viewers, that you're going to open this up to the world? What are you hoping they get out of it?
I'm hoping they can learn and maybe leapfrog some of the mistakes I'm going to find or things that don't work, and take some of the micro lessons. Not everybody can necessarily take in this case, we're planning on a year, but there are no rules. I mean, that's the nice thing about this experiment.
So it's a whole year. You're going to measure all of this and open your life up for a whole year.
And this is a dashboard, and I am like, hey, I'm accountable for whatever these metrics are. That's not necessarily possible for everybody, but I do just know from previous research, and then just my career working with a lot of brands and people and that human heartbeat behind the logo, there will be trends, there will be insights, and some of them will be micro ahas, and some of them might be a lot bigger.
Yeah.
But this isn't necessarily day one. It's almost year 3, but it's day 1 of the next phase.
So you're going to have good days and bad days. I mean, everybody does, right? Are you going to be comfortable sharing your bad days, right? When the trends are going in the wrong direction, both the quantitative and qualitative metrics. How do you feel about that? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're human, and I think that I will be incentivized to control what I can control around the bad days and the good days, meaning think twice before I schedule that 5 a.m. flight or overbook this, or, I'm going to need to be extremely intentional. But part of this is me feeding AI how I'm feeling, and having it also on real time, having data from a quantitative standpoint, and it's saying, this is what I'm noticing.
Yeah. All right. So no cheating. You're going to share everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been known, throughout your career for humanizing brands. How does that play into this?
Well, I think this is next level. Every experiment has a hypothesis or kind of a thesis, and intuitively the hit is, hey, this technology can actually really amplify our quality of life and humanize us even more. Not to do more, not just productivity, but like our true quality of being human and being more human through insights. And that is my hypothesis, and I will see whether or not I feel that's true.
So AI is a little bit of a therapist even.
Oh, and it has been for me for a long time, but now it's really, yes, 100%. And
so let's talk more about the mechanics. Like, how much are we going to be able to witness of this journey? Like, is it just, are we going to see just the dashboard, and are you going to share your blog entries? Are we going to see you live? Like walk us through how you envision this working out for the next year.
Yeah, and part of this that's uncomfortable for me is that I don't have it all figured out in terms of how this one will unfold, but I know we have a platform. We've got this show, and the tables can turn at any moment.
Oh, I like the tables turn. I love this.
I'm like, I don't know about this. And social media, that's not a new thing for me. I've been sharing play-by-play kind of day by day since 2007-ish. So this is pretty comfortable on that front. And then, we've got my email newsletter. Head to amyjomartin.com if you're not hooked up on that front. But I think it's whatever I feel is insightful and valuable, even if this is not the way to do it.
Yeah.
Or this was surprising, right? There's a reason for this, and I see it among my peer group, among the audiences, people. There's kind of this existential, how can we change up the way even we have a relationship with time, rather than fragmenting and separation, it really has to be integrated, work-life integration. Can we bend time a little bit, expand it, double dip, meaning, we're not trying to just bucket everything and everything's trying to get our attention in 24 hours in a day. So I'm really excited to play with that. Money, same thing. I've been testing that for a few years of just different ways to look at time and money being spent.
So you're going to share those metrics too. Money up, money down.
Yeah.
What's the impact of all of this? Fascinating.
Yeah, and why not? I mean, I think that the devil is in the details. I don't want this to feel ethereal, and this is not an eat, pray, love journey, but it is with a lot of data and metrics in a Petri dish, and I'm not going to India.
And AI and analyzing your every move.
Every move.
Yeah. What scares you the most about this experiment?
Well, in order to do this, I've committed to pausing a lot of other things. I'll still do my public speaking, and there's a relevancy factor that I think you as a human, especially right now, and I see it out in the audiences, like, I need to remain relevant. Am I still going to be credible? I've worked really hard for 25 years to gain this level of authority or thought leadership.
Right. This many followers.
Yeah. And is this like, oh, she's off the rails and she's off on this self-exploration journey? And I don't look at it that way. I look at it as like a super exciting project, and my job is to be curious and use my expertise. But at the same time, a lot of listening, a lot of trying things that haven't been done, and reporting kind of live alongside sharing everything else I've been fortunate to learn. So, and the fear is, of course, there's the KPIs aren't going to lie, right? You know what I mean? If one of my goals is XYZ and I'm not doing it, you can't unring that bell.
Yeah. So you've been willing to share a lot about your personal life in the past. I mean, you've talked in your book and in your keynote addresses, you've talked about your personal life, your divorce, you've talked about Lincoln. And so tell me how that plays into all this. You're going to more of that, more personal sharing.
Yeah. It's a new day. I think everything I do in life is really an experiment. And I teach about this. We can't fail when we're experimenting, and we can iterate, we can find that first red, green, yellow light, but I'm doing that in relationships now.
Yeah.
And it's fast, including AI in relationships, to help guide and from the start. And it's radically different to build a foundation that way than trying to Band-Aid or fix something, repair something. It's just different. It's a different foundation. I think too, like from a time perspective with Lincoln, we've integrated this into the way that I parent, and I have radically changed kind of the type of time I spend with him. There's less parenting ops, I call it, all the forms, all the keeping the human on track, and a lot more quality time. And a lot of that has to do with the way I've designed my life. AI, Kinsey's a huge help. She's a character in this story. She's behind the camera right now. But it's like, what can we do to move different variables around to get the most out of things?
So you're going to continue some public speaking. You're going to continue the podcast, obviously, to share what you're learning. What does this mean for the rest of Renegade during this next year? So
this, we have done 12 accelerators, and so proud of this community. And it's, and had thousands of graduates now inside a corporate, outside individuals, incredible humans. And, the community will always be there because those are connections that transcend me and, anything that that even requires me. From a business perspective, we do not have plans to do an accelerator this year. I reserve the right to change our mind at any point because who knows in Q3 if I'm going to start painting watercolor. Like you do know an accelerator, who knows, right? But it'd probably be knitting or something. But I am just willing to say, hey, everyone, talk to the community. I've already talked to them. And say, you know what, I'm going to go out and be in student mode. I'm going to gather some new info. I'll bring it back to you, and they'll be updated along the way. They're top stakeholders, and the amount of support has been incredible. Like, these are my people. I would do anything for them. They clearly have shown up for me, and I'll walk alongside them, and they're my advisors too.
Yeah. What does success look like?
Success, I think that learning, I love to just uncover things that maybe hadn't been thought about, new ways to do things, and discovery and feeling alive and stretched in that student scientist mode. I feel like I've been in business founder, CEO, entrepreneurial mode, which can be similar at times, but oftentimes it's ops, it's all the other things. And my sweet spot and special sauce, I guess you could say, is I don't know that I've been using it as much as I could have been, and that's really what lights me up. So I'm going to be out on this renegade quest, and that brings me joy. Just starting to work on this project, I'm feeling more alive.
I can tell.
You can? See?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like, if I'm not learning and growing, and I'm probably not fun to be around.
Well, and it's such a unique way to incorporate AI into this whole experiment, which is kind of, again, you're putting it at the center of not only interpreting the data, but giving you, acting as your coach and your therapist in some cases and your advisor and looking for correlations that maybe you don't see. I mean, I think it's going to be fascinating to see, how that evolves. And I think a lot of people that are just beginning to think about using AI in their personal lives are going to be very curious to see sort of what you get out of that.
I look forward to sharing, and that's the point, is to help others. I see the need and the desire. A lot of the structure it's not quite adding up as much as it used to in terms of the old systems, the old playbooks. So I'm just kind of willing to go out and find a new map, create a new map. And, people are wanting to leave corporate left and right or start their own thing, and that's not for everybody. And just because you start your own thing means that you're going to find all these solutions, or, I think sometimes we misdiagnose what we think will make us happy, and I've done that myself several times. And people are hungry for, I think, feeling really alive.
So how can people tune in? Where should they go? How do they tune in? What's next?
So right here, watching the show. If you're watching on Spotify or YouTube, Apple Podcasts, all the places, we are there. Also, social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and really, I'll be updating more through email as well. A lot of this AI is going to be analyzing, and I want to make sure that I'm able to put a spotlight on what I'm learning. And sometimes the best form for me is literally writing. So people can read. I write for Fast Company. Hopefully we'll be able to share a little bit insight, especially when I start collecting more data.
Yeah.
So the normal places.
Yeah, so you mentioned you're going to have a dashboard for your KPIs. Can some people find that somewhere? Are you going to publish that, or is that just for you?
Yeah, so amyjomartin.com will be where we publish the dashboard. And as we've built out the key core metrics. It's almost like they're sub KPIs, just figuring out what to measure is one of the challenge, and how.
And you might change that along the way, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the the insights and the trends will be what we're looking for, that change over time. Like even my biological age. So each quarter we're checking in on that.
It's 29. We all, obviously.
27.
Okay.
I don't want to be 27 again. I'll feel. Okay. But truly, like, why not? That's one great KPI.
Yeah.
Of what is, and who knows, how that correlates with everything else. But, it'll be interesting.
Okay. Any last words for our viewers?
I hope people are interested in learning, and I'm always curious to hear what everybody's thinking. So please reach out if you have thoughts, questions, encouragement. I've been a fan and student of Tim Ferriss since mid-2000s, and I'd say that has always been the way he's conducted his approach to life has been a frame for me for a long time. And so here we go.
Well, I look forward to being on your advisory board for this upcoming year and seeing, how this experiment unfolds. So thanks.
Thank you for interviewing me and being willing to put that hat on. You can add that to your amazing resume. If you haven't seen Sam's episode where he's in this chair and I'm in that one, please go back and take a look.
This chair is way more fun.
I know. Much more in control, aren't you?
I know. Just the way I like it. Anyway, thanks for being on your own show.
Thanks for having me.